Hi, it's Life Coach Hope coming to you from Austin, Texas. And here's another golden nugget. This golden nugget is about the importance of our self-talk. This is probably one of the most important things that we do all day. And everybody knows that we have voices in our head, we have loops going on in there that are telling us things, and we're listening to them. We may not be listening to them, we might be fighting with them. But a lot of us have some really, really negative tapes going on in our mind. And I have to tell you that what you say to yourself is way more important than what anybody else says to you. Now, it's unfortunate, but sometimes we get some negative things stuck in our heads from much earlier in life, maybe from childhood or adolescence or from young adulthood. And for one reason or another, usually because they were very emotionally impactful, we continue to play those out in our mind. Maybe it was an obsession with being perfect or not being perfect, or being overweight, or having to look perfect, or, I keep going on with the perfect thing because so many of my clients have a want or a sense that they always have to strive to be perfect. So that is one of the loops that a lot of people seem to have, is that it's not good enough, it's never good enough, they're never good enough. And so they are running these tapes in their mind, and they don't recognize that it's just a tape. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. It only means what you give credence to, in the sense that if you continue to say those things to yourself, and remember, somebody might have said it one time 20 years ago, and it was so impactful that you have repeated it to yourself maybe thousands of times. And when we repeat something to ourselves thousands and thousands of times, it becomes a habit of mind. And so what we do with our mind is just as important as what we feed our mind. And that's something else that people really are not that conscious of. Like, what do you mean, what am I feeding my mind? Well, when we talk about feeding our bodies, right? We want to give our bodies the nutrients that it needs, and we want to give our bodies hydration, all sorts of good things to help it grow and to replenish and to be strong. The same is true for our brains. So taking a moment or taking notice, really, of what you're feeding your mind on a daily basis. Are you feeding your mind with drama, with television, with bad news, with violence, with video game violence? I mean, these are all things to really consider, because what we put into our mind is actually part of what it gives us back. And then there's also what we do with our mind. So going back to the original concept of our self-talk, what are you actually saying to yourself? Are you reading books that are going to help you progress in your life, or are you wasting a lot of your time in things that are not progressing your life? So maybe it's not wasting, but it's a choice, and it's not necessarily your highest choice. So the golden nugget today is to be conscious, or to start being conscious of what you're actually saying to yourself. And if you're not aware of what it is, a great way to get a handle on it is the next time you start hearing some negative thinking, sort of sit back and observe that your brain is actually just repeating the same old stuff that it's been repeating for a long time. And a really great way to see it is to write down. Just write it down. Don't judge it. Just write down what it's saying, and then get it out on paper and be like, okay, well, do I actually agree with this? Do I actually agree with what my mind is telling me? Because a lot of times it's telling us some really negative stuff, and we don't need to unconsciously be repeating those things to ourselves anymore. Once we understand that we can take notice, that we can become aware of what's going on. Remember, the mind, here in America, we're sort of taught to live in our mind, but it's not the only place to live from. In fact, consciousness, we don't know where consciousness actually exists in the body. If it even exists at all in the body, it might be sort of around the body. We don't really know. But the mind itself is more like a machine. It's a wonderful machine. It's an amazing machine, but it's not the only place to center your experience of life from, to center your awareness from. Your consciousness is not necessarily in your mind, but we think that it is. And so lots of us are having these struggles with our minds, and what is our mind doing and saying. So that's the golden nugget for today, and I'm sorry, I'm looking up at the clock. That's the golden nugget for today, and I hope that you enjoyed it. It is to be considerate, look at your self-talk. What are you feeding your mind? So there's two things there. What are you feeding your mind, and what are you doing with your mind? And the more that you get conscious around those things, that's a step further towards self-empowerment and self-mastery. Thanks so much. If you're interested in life coaching, you can check out my website at www.lifecoachhope.com. And have a wonderful day and shine your light. Thanks so much. Bye.